Hi, it's Jack from Alpha Charts with a state of the market video. Today is March 26, 2022. Before we get started, this video is for educational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security, and I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. All right, starting with the SPX. So this head and shoulders, right? This big one. If it's going to actually happen, price will have to stay below, we'll call it 46,000, right? Sorry, 4,600. Right, so that's the key area. And you see here, it got rejected once and twice. So we'll see if price can get above it or not. I don't know, but right now, very bullish price action, maybe getting a little bit extended, but I really do like the way that looks. And I am going to put a 50-day and 200-day just for context. So you see price is back above the 200-day, which is flat now, and kind of rising. The 50-day, and let's just see how far back 50 days is. Stella's in here with me behind my chair. So if you hear any dogs, that's what that is. All right. So in about after next week, this 50-day will be flat. So that's kind of nice to see too, right? Your 50-day flattens out, 200-day still rising, price back above everything. Moving averages now starting to line back up again. Not quite a power trend, obviously, but very constructive action. It's okay if this kind of pulls back to the 200-day, which is 44.77 right now. That would be fine and healthy. That's probably where this 9-day EMA would be, and then and then we'll see what happens, right? But again, looks really, really good, very constructive so far. Again, a pullback, something like this to the 200-day, and then a breakout. That would be probably the most bullish thing I could think of right now. Unless these moving averages kind of catch up, and at that point, this 50 days should be flattish and just really, really healthy looking. So that is S&P, and let's look at the RSP, the equal weight. Yeah, I mean, so very bullish, even more bullish. If you see the 9 days already crossed to 200, which is really, really nice to see, and everything's right now. I mean, yeah, I guess you could say, okay, but look at the volume, right? And let's look at SPX. Yeah, the volume is tailing off as it went higher. I get that, but only price pays. So we're going to follow price on this one. And remember, there's a lot of disbelievers in the rally. And again, it could roll over. I don't know. But once this makes a new high over here, about 46, I think you'll see volume really pour in if it does, right? Because then people will be trying to chase at that point, and that should be interesting. Let's look at Qs. So here are the Qs, and again, charts kind of messy, a lot more lines on this particular one, but just looking at where we're at again, a little bit of distribution here, right? It's a little bit of distribution, and still under the 200-day, so not nearly as strong as the S&P. Not even close. You have the 50-day still screaming down, starting to get the short-term moving averages to be, bullishly aligned, but still under the 200-day. It makes growth names still a risky bet, especially when you start to see some of this type of volume action. So I'd still be cautious growth names in this particular environment until it actually, resolves itself. And when I say resolves itself, I mean getting above the 200-day, probably above 370, we'll call it. 368 is where the 200-day is. So above 370, 369, that would be a huge step, and it's just not there yet. I'm looking at the equal weight. Again, just not there. It does have a gigantic head and shoulders it's potentially working on. Don't know if that's going to happen or not. But it did hit this mark right back here in March 14th, 2 weeks ago. And and we'll see what happens, right? I mean, it's above the 50-day now, but it's still declining, well below the 200-day. Tons of overhead supply. So even the equal weight Q is just saying there's a lot of work to be done to get the all clear. We're in a bullish, good times uptrend. Just don't see that happening this very second, even though this week was absolutely amazing. Big up week, but again, there's just a lot of overhead supply in this. So that's what I'm watching there. Looking at IWM, lots of scenarios could potentially play out. I kind of, drew these in a while ago, and I could take this out, I can take this one out. And so now what's it going to do here? Above the 50-day, the 200 is declining. That's never a good thing. Again, decreased volume. We're seeing that. Here's your supply area, right? This 208 to 212, 213, whatever, somewhere in there. And price is having a hard time getting above it. Now, we did see some nice volume right over here, and then just kind of dropped off at the end of the week. It's not terrible. And it's above the 50-day, and we get starting at the bullish alignment there. Yeah, I mean, it's still suspect. Again, about 5 more days, about 1 more week, and that 50-day will start to flatten out. And if price can stay above it and we get a flat to rising 50-day, even if it doesn't break out, that's a step in the right direction. So I think this next week is really, really important. Does price stay above the 50-day, or does it start to fall below it, especially significantly? I don't, so small caps, still suspect. That's the best I can say on that one. Like the Qs. And small cap growth got rejected at the trend line. So we don't know if it's going to come all the way back. And I will just move this arrow here and make use of the current arrow. There we go. So we don't know if it's going to come back, retest, kind of this area, and then start to move higher. It's kind of obnoxious. Again, underneath the 200-day, underneath, well above the declining 50-day. Hard to get too bullish this chart just yet. This is from the COVID low, and again, it's underneath that VWAP as well. So we'll see. I mean, there's a good chance this small cap growth could come back, one more plunge, and then potentially, hopefully, take off. We'll see. Still watching it for retest of this area. Maybe this was enough, and maybe it breaks out. That's a possibility too, right? But again, a lot of damage was done in growth world, so just be careful there. And just to round out the index review, mid caps. Mid caps look decent, right? I mean, it's like nice little off the bottom. It's just under the 200-day. So if we get above, 495.23, which is, not that far away, that's not bad, right? The 50-day, again, it's probably going to need, if this week, the 45, 46 bars. So if this week it gets above it, and then you have a flat to, probably flattish 50-day moving average, with these kind of going up, that's not bad, right? The mid caps could potentially lead the way higher. So definitely something to watch. So mid caps shaping up again this week. Again, what are we saying? This week is going to be a pivotal week for the market. I guess we could say probably every week, but I think for sure because of what's going to be happening with the 50-day, because we're about 45 days out currently from this waterfall type decline. So that's a big deal. Looking at XLF, holding up well above the 50-day, above the 200-day. They never crossed bearishly. Now we're starting to get some price action above these lines, and some positive strength here. So it looks pretty good, decent volume coming in on this one. So financials look good. They're definitely participating, if not, potentially going to lead the market. We'll see, but definitely participating. That's what we want. SMH. So they are back above the 200-day. That's nice to see. And they are and they are, they're right into this area, right? I mean, it's nice to see that they're above the 200-day, decent volume coming in. So that's a very positive. I mean, it's hard to be bearish if price just, did this type of action, right? Very little give back. Love the big bar on better volume. We'll call it high volume. And then the give back was very little bit, bullishly starting to align on the shorter term. And my guess would be 45 days or so, 44, 45 days, sure. So again, this week, pivotal week, 200-day technically still rising, even though it's kind of flattish. So we'd love to see price continue higher, and that would be the bullish scenario for sure. So again, a lot of positive price action for semiconductors, and I think that's good for the market overall. Lumber or wood ETF, again, not really giving much of a signal. Again, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. We'll just keep moving on. Well, what the VIX do? So there's a lot of concerns out there, and the VIX literally dropped. I'm just going to close all these moving averages off. Yeah, 20.8. So the market's not necessarily too worried about what's going on out there. So that's a good thing to see. VIX dropping, that's one for the bulls, right? What else? Bond yields, right? I was really worried about bond yields. Get rid of this. And actually, we don't need the volume now either. Yeah, so here's the bond yields, and this, this area right here was very worrisome. It spiked above it. I was really nervous about things here, and then they just fell right back down. So the bond market, it became much less concerned with what was happening in the world, and so I did as well. Okay, and that's a huge bullish sign right there. Could still make a higher low potentially from here. Yeah, I guess so, but as of right now, it's just not. So let's just take it for what we have here, and bond market is not concerned, and I am not concerned. All right. Put call ratio. Still a lot of people 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Market has people going each way. There is a wall of worry out there, and it shows in the put call ratio. So no signal, except that there's a wall of worry out there and a lot of indecision, right? That's what that tells me, and that's probably bullish for equities. Indecision is, in my opinion, bullish for equities. Going to some breadth studies, value line geometric index. Very positive price action coming in here. Really held where it needed to hold, right? And it's moved back higher. So I think that's definitely a huge positive for the market in general. That breadth is coming back in. Let's look at percent stocks above the 50-day moving average. And you can see that also in this, just a giant, we'll call it breadth thrust right over here. Really nice to see, with like more positive action, into this area. And I think that'd be, again, very, very bullish. And there's the puppy. All right. Looking at gold, so this was a huge breakout, and it got to about where it needs to get to, and it pulled right back. Doesn't mean it's not going to go higher, but as of right now, people not buying gold is, in my opinion, bullish equities in general, as it's considered, safe haven assets. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. And looking at Bitcoin with this type of price action, again, very bullish price action, as it's the riskiest of the risk assets. I still think 45,000 is a very important level. And so if you go to the bars, we could take a look at that area better. That's where it's found sellers. It's also where this VWAP from the peak is. Price getting above 45,000, extremely bullish, 45, 46,000. And then, so we're close. It's looking good. And so I think that's definitely shows a risk on attitude, especially that we're into the weekend now, and it looks like there's still buyers showing up. So looks really good there. So overall, I think the market's very constructive action in the market. Let's look at the 10-year yield. And look at that 10-year yield, screaming higher on Friday, right? Which is why growth is, the problem with growth. But there's other areas of the market really working, and you're starting to see that rotation really happen. Let's go to a weekly chart, and you see this downtrend line is from 1981, right? There's your 1981 downtrend line. So, at 285-ish or so, 2.85, I think that's where the rubber meets the road, and things can get interesting at that point. If it breaks above it and it breaks, gets to 3-ish, that's where above 3. I think we got real problems. Below 3, the market will just have to price in all these stocks, and that's what it's doing. The bond market is chill right now. The bond ratios, people are talking about the inversion of the bond yields to 10-2s, and obviously if they do invert, that will be concerning 6 to 9 months down the road. But up until leading there, we can't get bearish because the market could have an amazing rally between now and then, right? So again, don't let some of the FUD and all the chatter on FinTwit kind of taint what you're thinking. Right now, things are looking pretty good, and we could get a beautiful, rally, continued rally, in these equities. Potentially go back to all-time highs. Who knows? But we could have a beautiful continued rally in these equities. So play the price action. Right now, the market looks good. I think this week's an inflection point for the market to see what's really going to happen. But a shallow pullback would be healthy in a market like this, just to let these moving averages. Again, there's a 23, there's a 9, there's a 50, and there's the 200. Let these moving averages just catch up to it a little bit, take a breath, let the 50 flatten out, and then move higher. I think that would be the most bullish scenario I could think of. A low volume week, especially in the beginning of the week, again, to let these moving averages catch up. All right, beautiful. You guys have a great week. Hope this helped. I'll be doing a long view video a little bit later, and that's going to focus on ETFs and relative strength, and using weekly charts. If you haven't seen that one, it's gotten real good feedback, so check that out. And then tomorrow morning, I'm gonna do my normal stocks to watch. I think there's a lot of leaders emerging right now, and so check that out. Okay, appreciate it. On Twitter at AlphaCharts365. There's Stella. Boom, boom. There she is. She's been with us the whole time, studying, and I hope you guys have a great day.